a wild last 8 months or so for Tennessee. The Volunteers had a fantastic regular season, going 10-2 and making the college football playoff. They ultimately lost that playoff game 42-17 at Ohio State, who ended up winning the national championship. You fast forward to the spring, expectations are high for the 2025 season, but their starting quarterback, who helped lead them to the playoff, Nico Iamaleava, he says, "I want more money. I put up mediocre stats last year, but I think I'm worth $4 million instead of $2 million. Tennessee said, "Hit the road, you're out of here," and Nico went to UCLA, where he's now making less than $1 million. They essentially completed the first trade in college football history, as Nico Iamaleava went from Tennessee to UCLA, and UCLA quarterback Joey Aguilar went to Tennessee. Wild last few months. Lots of uncertainty, lots of crazy storylines. The million-dollar question now, through all of this, is how will Tennessee do in 2025? All the distractions, all the off-field stuff, what's it going to translate to on the field? Well, let's take a look. On offense, for the Volunteers, they lose Nico Iamaleava, like we just said. They lose Dylan Sampson, their star running back who nearly rushed for 1,500 yards last year. And they lose their top 3 pass catchers and 4 starters on the offensive line. That has now gone down to 46 combined starts up front and no seniors. A lot of questions on the offensive side of the ball right now. Joey Aguilar, as we mentioned, does transfer in from UCLA. Actually, was at App State, went to UCLA, now at Tennessee. He threw for over 6,700 yards during his time at App State, 56 touchdowns, 24 interceptions, and nearly rushed for 500 yards, in 2 years with the Mountaineers. I actually think this could be a slight quarterback upgrade, right? We'll be interested to see how he fits into the system, but I think Josh Heupel's a fantastic coach who's going to get the most out of his quarterbacks. Aguilar has a little bit of mobility, maybe more so than that of Nico Iamaleava. Could be a bit more of an accurate passer, a dynamic passer than Nico Iamaleava. So despite all the off-field drama, this could have been a good thing. Could end up being a good thing for Tennessee. They do bring back Deshaun Bishop, who was second on the team in rushing last year, 455 yards, averaged 6.1 yards per carry, so a very talented running back who's finally going to get his shot after waiting behind Dylan Sampson. And they do return Chris Brazzell, their 4th-rated wide receiver, 4th on the team last year in reception yards, and I think Mike Matthews is going to step into a bigger role as well. Tennessee probably will not match last year's totals, 35.7 points per game, nearly 450 yards per game, but I don't think you're going to see as a significant of a drop-off as you might think. So the offense has a lot of questions. It'll lose a lot of talent from last year's playoff squad, but as the year goes on, I think this team will start to get better and better. The defense, however, looks to be really, really strong. 8 starters are back. They only gave up 16.1 points per game, only gave up 293 yards per game total. Now, 5 of their top 6 tacklers from last year do return, including their leading tackler, and Arion Carter at linebacker. He is paired with his great teammate, Jeremiah Talander, so you have a very solid linebacking core. The defensive line, everybody looks at James Pierce and says, "Oh, we don't have James Pierce, we're in trouble." And I say, no, you're not. You're just fine. You've got Dominic Bailey up front. You've got Bryson Eason up front. You've got Joshua Josephs up front. So the defensive line's looking pretty good despite losing their star. And the secondary looks really, really good as well with Ricky Gibson and Jermod McCoy, assuming McCoy can get back after tearing his ACL in January. He might not be ready for the season opener, but if Tennessee can get him back early enough, depending on how fast that recovery goes, the secondary going to be looking very good. McCoy and Gibson were a very underrated duo in 2024. So, all that being said, the offense has some questions, but has potential. The defense looks to be very, very strong, and Tennessee does not have the worst schedule in the world. It's not easy by any means, but it could be worse. They open the year up against Syracuse. Syracuse, 2 teams that are going to look drastically different, right? 2 teams that won 10 games last year, but will now look drastically different after losing so much. I do think Tennessee wins this game. Opening up the season against the Orange in Atlanta, Tennessee to me is in the better spot. They've got a more veteran quarterback in Joey Aguilar who has playing and starting experience versus Syracuse, who is more likely to bring out Stephen Jelly, who transferred in from Notre Dame and had very limited time and experience with the Fighting Irish. Syracuse only brings back 2 starters on offense. Record-setting offense last year, but the receivers are gone. Kyle McCord is gone. They're going to have to find their footing, and I don't think that Tennessee, with this good defense, is the team to do that against. So maybe it's closer than people think. Maybe it's closer for a longer time than people think, but I do think Tennessee ends up winning this game because the Orange are going to look a lot different than the team that you saw all throughout 2024. They're 1-0. They'll beat Eastern Tennessee. They're 2-0. and they're going to lose to Georgia. They'll be 2-1. I think all that's pretty self-explanatory. They have not defeated Georgia in Knoxville since 2015. They have not won against the Bulldogs since 2016. Their average loss against Georgia at home is by 31 points per game. They have been held to under 100 rushing yards against Georgia in 6 of the last 8 meetings. They lost 31-17 last year, held their own early, got out to an early lead against the Bulldogs, and then fell apart after that. Maybe they hold their own again now, because this Georgia team does have a lot of new pieces as well, including at quarterback with Gunnar Stockton. But I just don't think Tennessee has the offensive capability to exploit this elite Georgia defense. I don't think they're going to get enough out of this offense that, again, has so many new pieces and young pieces. I just don't see them being able to exploit this Georgia defense despite having home field advantage. So they're going to lose this game, just as they have pretty much every year since 2016. They are 2-1, but they'll be 4-1 heading into their bye week as they will cruise past UAB and they will cruise past Mississippi State, who arguably will be the worst team in the SEC again. They beat the Bulldogs 33-14 last year, although this will be a historic matchup. Their first meeting in Starkville since 2012, and they should win that game with ease. Coming out of the bye week, they're 4-1, still highly ranked. They take on Arkansas. Talk about a revenge game for the Volunteers. Arkansas pulled off the massive upset last year, winning 19-14 over the 4th-ranked Volunteers in Fayetteville. And Tennessee is struggling against Arkansas. They've lost, 5 straight to the Hogs? Lost in, 2020? Lost last year, and then a couple early 2000 games that aren't as relevant now. But this Arkansas team has talent. They've got a mobile quarterback in Taylor Green, who actually went down with an injury last year. It was Malachi Singleton, who ended up scoring the game-winning touchdown for the Hogs last year. They have a solid running back core, questions at wide receiver, strong offensive line, questions at defensive line. There's too many questions surrounding Arkansas. There's too much inconsistency there. Factor in Tennessee coming off a week of rest with revenge on their mind with the game in Knoxville. I love them in this spot. I don't think Arkansas has the talent or the mental toughness, the physical toughness to come in and win this game. Tennessee should win this game, I think, with ease. I know the Arkansas offense put up over 400 yards on the balls last year. I get that. But over 400 yards, only 19 points. The Tennessee defense held their own. They're going to do so again now. They're 5-1. No Nico, no problem, right? We're 5-1, looking good. You're halfway through the season, and we're still talking about Tennessee as a playoff team and an SEC title team and things like that. So things are looking good. They go on the road to Alabama, where they have struggled mightily. They have not won in Tuscaloosa since 2003. They fared a little bit better in recent years in Knoxville, pulling off a handful of upsets, including last year when they beat Alabama 24-17. A game riddled with mistakes from both teams, and Tennessee finding a way to win by a touchdown. I don't think they can do it now. I just don't. This Alabama team, I think, is maybe going to be better than people realize. They were good last year. I mean, disappointing by Alabama standards, but not a bad team. But now you've got your top 2 receivers coming back, a very strong offensive line, your veteran running back returning. I think Ty Simpson's going to do well there. And this defense for Alabama was not bad at all last year. It kind of got overshadowed by some of the struggles and from some of the bad games they had, like allowing 40 points to Vanderbilt. They've got a lot of talent coming back. So in Tuscaloosa, a revenge game for Alabama. This elite defense against the Tennessee offense that might not be as explosive or as good as they have been used to seeing. I just don't think Tennessee has enough to win this game on the road. They're 5-2, but they'll be 6-2. Clinch bowl eligibility. That's great. Clinch bowl eligibility with a win at Kentucky, who they beat by 10 last year. The Wildcats going to go through quite a bit of struggles again in 2025. 6-2, heading into the Josh Heupel Bowl. Of course, as we know, Heupel was at Oklahoma, played quarterback at Oklahoma, coached Oklahoma for a little while, and beat his alma mater last year, going on the road to Norman with Tennessee and won by 10, 25-15, holding Oklahoma to 222 yards. If you look back at last year, the Sooners across the board did not have an offense. It didn't matter who was at quarterback. They obviously suffered a lot of injuries at wide receiver. They just did not have a good enough offense, and yet still found a way to make a bowl game. This year, though, it's a completely different story. John Mateer comes in. They've got a good offensive coordinator. They've got Jade Knott. They've got a good wide receiver core. They've got 8 starters back on defense. This Oklahoma team is a team that could go from a losing record last year to a very strong winning record this year and could flirt with an SEC title, maybe playoff appearance. That's how good this team can be. And they're so good that I do think they come on the road and beat Tennessee. I know a lot of people don't like that pick. I know a lot of people are shocked by that pick. But if you paint the picture out on paper, I think that Oklahoma is the better offensive team coming into this game. I think their defense can match that of Tennessee's, maybe even own the slight edge. It's going to be a battle of the minds, of course, with Josh Heupel, the offensive mind, versus Brent Venables, the defensive mind. But Oklahoma's got the offense. They can hang with Tennessee defensively, might be even better. Yes, it is in Neyland Stadium, but I just think the Sooners are the better team across the board. They're going to get this win narrowly. It will be close. 6-3 for Tennessee. Come out of the bye week, they'll beat New Mexico State 7-3, no problems there. Then on the road at Florida. Interesting to see Tennessee and Florida playing so late in the season. Typically this game being played earlier, September, maybe early October, but now November 22nd. This Florida team is going to be good. I think they could end up being better than their record shows because they face one of the most difficult schedules in the country again, but they've got a lot of talent. DJ Lagway can stay healthy. This offense should be a lot better. The defense is going to look really, really salty. And like Alabama, Tennessee has struggled in the swamp. They have not won at Florida since 2003, and they only beat Florida 23-17 in overtime last year. That was earlier on in the season. I think it was in October. Florida wasn't that great at the time. They were going through a bunch of issues. Tennessee at home only won by 6 in overtime, a game Florida probably should have won. So now you're facing a better Florida team on the road. Tennessee not as good as they were last year. All the signs pointing to a victory for the Gators in the swamp. Tennessee loses that game 7-4, but they will beat Vanderbilt to end the year with an 8-win season. They have won 6 straight against the Commodores, including a 13-point victory last year. I think Vandy puts up a very good fight. They're very experienced, playing with a lot more confidence. We saw what this team was capable of last year. They beat Alabama. They hung with Texas. They hung with LSU. They've got talent. They've got it again this year, but not enough to come on the road and beat Tennessee on Senior Day. Just don't see it happening. Tennessee gets the win, 8-4, 4-4 in conference play. In all things considered, considering all the crazy offseason stuff, considering everybody they lost on offense, not including Nico Iamaleava, I think this is a success. An 8-win season, a shot at 9, a solid bowl win. This is you could call it a rebuilding year. I don't think it's that. I think it's just a minor step back from a team that made the playoff last year. A shot at 9, a chance to maybe get back to the playoff in 26. But all things considered, an 8-win season, I think, is nothing to frown about if you're a Volunteers fan. Maybe you think they find a way to beat Oklahoma. I think 9-3 is probably the ceiling. I don't see Tennessee getting over 9 wins like they had last year. 9-3, I don't think would be good enough for them to get into the playoff. Again, we've seen 3 lost teams flirt with playoff bids. Saw that a couple times last year. Bama thought they should have been in. Ole Miss thought they should have been in. South Carolina wanted to make a bid for it. So 9-3 could have them flirting. Probably not good enough. 8-4, certainly not. A down year for Tennessee. They bounce back in a big way in 2026. 8-4 for the Vols in 2025. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. Home to our weekly newsletters that you do not want to miss out on, jam-packed with non-stop exclusive content and analysis that you won't get anywhere else. Go check it out. The link for that down in the description below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.